Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Ron and I'm from Arts for All. I'm here with you today to do some artwork with you. So I hope you're ready. I hope you have fun. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is show you a picture or a couple of pictures of the kind of material we'll be working with today, the kind of subject that this art lesson is all about. So take a look, and when you get back, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Be right back. Okay, so here are the questions. I'm going to read them to you. What did you see in those pictures? Think about it. You can say the answer in your mind, or if someone is in the room with you, you can tell them. Yeah, what you saw were puppets. What is a puppet? I'm going to read you the definition, and I'm sure you already know. A puppet is a small figure created by a puppeteer or artist that can have a personality, a voice, and a movement with the help of a puppeteer. So then what is a puppeteer? I bet you know that one too, but I'm going to read you the definition anyway. A puppeteer is a person who operates, designs, or costumes puppets and creates puppet shows. Now, what kind of puppet did you see? Do you know the name of that kind of puppet? You saw a puppet that was very dark, and the shadow of the puppet was cast on a wall or was cast on a screen. That's right, it's called a shadow puppet, because what you see is not the puppet itself when there's a puppet show, but the shadow of the puppet. And so what you saw were two different ways that a puppeteer performs with a shadow puppet. And as I said, the shadow can be cast on a wall, or the shadow can be cast on a screen. We're going to show you both ways today and how to make a shadow puppet. So think about your puppet, what it will look like, what kind of character you want your puppet to be. Do you want it to be a person, an animal, a character from a TV show or a movie or a book or a cartoon or even a comic book? So we have to figure out what character we're going to make, what you want it to be doing. Is it running? Is it jumping? Is it flying or swimming or sleeping? So when you make your puppet, we should show what it's doing. Now, because a shadow puppet is very, very dark, we won't see like drawings on the puppet of its expression of its face or any clothing. That has to be done in only the outline or silhouette of the puppet. Okay, so what we can do with our puppet, and I'll show you, is cut little holes in your shadow puppet that light will shine through to show maybe the eyes, the mouth, maybe a few other features. But I'll show you how we're going to do that. But also, yes, so still try and think of what your puppet will be feeling. Will it be happy or sad, angry or surprised? So now we have to think about what materials we need to make our shadow puppet. So here they are. These are things I found in my home. So you're going to use found materials also. These are leftover papers or materials that you have in your house that maybe you were going to throw away, or usually don't get used, or maybe will be recycled. So we're going to try and find some in your house that you can use to make your shadow puppet and a shadow puppet theater. Here's what I have. I have a piece of black construction paper. Any dark paper or cardboard will be fine for this. If you don't have something dark, you can choose something light, and when we make it into our puppet, we'll color it in completely in black or another dark color. I also have a stick that I made out of cardboard. This stick is about 7 inches long, about 3/4 of an inch wide. We're going to need the stick to hold when we're moving our puppet around. Now, if you don't have cardboard, you can use a popsicle stick, you can use a drinking straw, or anything like this that will serve as a stick. That's for the puppet. For the puppet theater, I'm using an empty cereal box. If you have an empty cereal box, that would be great, or any box about this size that you can use for your theater. You'll also need a piece of wax paper. If you don't have wax paper, you can use tissue paper big enough, or any paper that light will shine through. The other thing we need is a flashlight or a lamp, and I will show you that in a minute, that we're going to use to help cast the shadow of the puppet onto the wall or into the puppet theater, okay? We also need our tools. We'll need a scissors. We'll need glue of some kind, either a glue stick or liquid glue. And if you don't have glue, we can always use tape. The other thing we'll need is a light colored pencil or crayon. So if you have a colored pencil that's white or yellow, or a crayon that's white or yellow, because when we draw on our dark paper, if we use dark paper, a regular pencil is hard to see. So a light colored pencil will work well. If you don't have anything light colored, you can use a regular pencil or pen. You'll be able to see it well enough to cut your puppet out. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with the puppet theater. As I said, you can cast your puppet shadow on a wall, as you saw in the pictures I showed you, or on a screen in a theater. So with your box, whether it's a cereal box or another kind of box, you need to draw a line. See the line? All along the box, leaving a border. Here's the border. Then we're going to cut this center part out. Do the same thing on the back. Draw your line all the way around, leave a border, and then we're going to cut it out. Now, I'm not going to stay on here and cut it completely out because it takes too much time. But what we need to do is punch a hole in the line with the scissors. And maybe when we are doing this, you can get some help from an adult that's in the room. We're going to punch a line, punch a hole in the line, and then use that hole to put our scissors in and cut this out. Now, when we're using a scissors, remember, I have two different kinds of scissors. A thumb in the little hole, two fingers in the big hole, or two or three, to open and close your scissors. Always be careful with your scissors. And open and close it like it's a crocodile or an alligator, and bring your paper into your scissors when you're cutting, like that, okay? So I'm going to cut this box while we pause, and when I come back, I'll show you what it looks like. Be right back. All right, so I took my time cutting, and you can take your time cutting or get help cutting. And here's the box. So I cut the rectangle out of one side of the box and then the other side of the box. Remember, first I drew the rectangle, leaving a border, and then I cut them both sides out. Now on one side, I want to tape my screen. So my screen is a piece of wax paper. As I said, you can use tissue paper or anything that light will shine through. And then I place it over the hole on one side, and then I tape it all along the border. I'm going to do that, pause and do that, and show you what that looks like. Be right back. All right, so I took my time, and you take your time, and I taped the wax paper to the front of the box, one side of the box. So one side does not have the wax paper, one side does. This is your theater, so that when you are doing your puppet show, the audience will see the part that has the wax paper on it, and you'll be behind on this side holding your puppet. I'll demonstrate more later so you get an idea of how the whole thing works. I'm going to put this aside, and then we're going to zoom in on my desk so we can make our shadow puppet. Be right back. Okay, so here's my desk. I'm going to take my dark colored construction paper. It's about 8 inches long by about 6 inches wide. And as I said, if you don't have a dark colored paper, use a light one. And after you make your puppet, you can color it in all black or another dark color. So I'm going to take my light colored crayon and start drawing the character I want to make into a puppet. All right, now this is not going to be perfect. Art doesn't have to be perfect. I want to use as much of my paper as I can so that my puppet is as big as I can make it from this paper. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I'll turn it this way. Let's start drawing. Oh, I have to press harder with this than I thought, but you can see that I can see it, right? I'm going to finish drawing. I'm going to take a little bit of time, so I'll pause again, and when I finish, you'll get to see what I drew. Be right back. All right, so as you can see, I used my light colored crayon to draw a dinosaur, and my dinosaur is smiling, so it's a happy dinosaur. And really, pretty much he's standing there or maybe walking, and you can make your character do whatever you want it to do, as I said, flying, running, jumping. Now I need to cut it out, take my scissors, as I showed you how to use them, and start cutting it out. Bring the paper into the scissors, and I want to cut out my character in one piece. All right, so I'm going to continue cutting, and when I get back, it'll be all cut out. Okay, so I followed along the lines that I drew with my crayon, and I very carefully cut out my dinosaur. So now we need to attach the stick that we used to hold the puppet and make it move around. I decided I'd rather use this side to show everyone. So I'm going to put the stick on this. I'm going to make this the back. So I'm going to take my stick and put it right in the middle, and I can either tape it there or glue it there. I'm going to use my glue stick and glue it onto the back. Put some glue right on the tip of my cardboard stick that I made. Put it in the middle of the puppet. Hold it down for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can leave it there longer if you want. So then I have my shadow puppet. Now, as you can see, I poked a hole where the eye should be with my scissors, very carefully, okay? You can do that too. If you have an eye or some other feature on your puppet that you want it to show through, make it into a little hole, okay? But it doesn't have to have any holes. It can be completely solid. So this is my puppet. I put a little tape there to keep the hole open. All right, so now I want to show you how we use it with the theater and with a flashlight. So I'll be right back to show you that. All right, so the idea when you're using your theater to show a puppet show is to put your theater box on a flat surface like a table. And then you have your puppet behind it. So here's the front. The audience is looking at the front. You're behind your box with your puppet, making it move, making it talk, giving your puppet a name. And if you have more than one puppet, using more than one puppet with more than one puppeteer and doing a show. Now behind the puppet, I have to put this down for a minute. Behind the puppet is a light of some kind, whether it's a flashlight or a lamp, that goes behind the puppet. So the light shines on the back of the puppet, like that, and then the puppet casts a shadow onto the screen that people are looking at in the front. So if I was showing this to you frontwards, you would be the audience, you would see this, the puppet would be behind it, as you can see part of it now, and the light would be behind the puppet so that you could see the puppet's shadow right here on the front. It's difficult for me to show you how it works completely for one person to show you on this screen. So I'm going to show you a diagram of how it works with a theater and how it works if you're casting a shadow on the wall. So just hold on 1 second. I'm going to pause and show you those diagrams. Be right back. Okay, I hope those diagrams makes it a little more clear. And what I want you to do is take your turn now when the video is over, and you can always come back to the video to see the instructions again. And when you're making yours, or when you're finished, I want you to consider these questions. I'm going to read them to you. What character did you choose to make into a shadow puppet? Why? Why did you choose that character? What were all the steps you went through to make your puppet and to make your theater? What is your puppet doing? Is it standing there? Is it running? Is it swimming? Is it flying? And how is your puppet feeling? My dinosaur puppet was feeling pretty happy. I think you can see the smile. What is your puppet feeling? What kind of voice did you give your puppet? My dinosaur puppet had a deep, rough voice. That's how I imagine a dinosaur sounds. How does your puppet sound? And what kind of show would you like to put on? Would you like to put on a circus with your character? A play of some kind? Your puppet's playing in a playground? Your puppet swimming in the ocean or flying in the sky? What would your show be like for the audience watching in the front of your theater or on the wall? And what new words did you learn today? If you learned new vocabulary words, why don't you write them down along with the definition so that you can remember what they mean? Well, I hope you had fun making your shadow puppet in theater. I know that probably you might have needed a little help to make your theater and maybe even your puppet, but that's okay. Artists get help all the time. I hope I get to see you again sometime to do some more art with you. Be safe and be well, and take care. Bye-bye.